All right, so as mentioned in the audio on this slide, we're going to look at Robert Thomas and calculate his gross earnings and his net earnings. As you can see here, there's a lot of information given here, but actually the solutions that we're going to derive is actually, they're both in this table. So the gross earnings column right here, we want Robert Thomas, so we're going to derive this first, and then we're going to derive net earnings. So gross earnings, then net earnings. So gross earnings is the first thing. Gross earnings is based off of the employee's hourly rate, and which is this column right here, and how many hours they work, regular and overtime. And we need to remember when you considering overtime, the Fair Labor Standards Act, which was mentioned in the previous slide, which has to do with any hours worked over 40 hours, you get time and a half. And in some cases, it's not part of the Fair Labor Standards Act, but some employers give you double time if you work over 48 hours, or they may have different standards, but that's beyond the Fair Labor Standards Act. But just keep that in mind. And you'll see that in your homework, just give you a heads up. So the gross earnings, we need to look at the first 40 hours and then multiply that by the hourly rate. So we're going to look at 40 hours is going to be at the $15.70 rate. So 40 hours, he's making $15.70 an hour. And then any overtime, which is 4 hours, he's making time and a half. So that's 1.5 times his hourly rate, 15.70. And so just to show what we're dealing with here, this is the regular, and this is overtime. Okay, so now it might get a little confusing when you're multiplying this out, and what I would suggest doing is determining each individual regular and overtime individually. So 40 times 1570, let's go ahead and find that out. You'll want to do that on your calculator. So we'll have 40 times 1570. Multiply those two numbers together, and we get 628. And then we want to add, because we're adding, we want 4 times 1.5, and then multiply that by 1570. That's $94.20. So $94.20 he's making overtime. And our final result, we'll just add those two numbers together. And we get $722.20. Put my units in here, 722.20. And that's the result we got here. That's good. That's our gross earnings. Now, to determine the net earnings, we want to take gross earnings. So net earnings is equal to gross earnings. Oh, forgot the N. Earnings minus deductions. So deductions may vary based on the employee. As you can see, the employees, some employees don't have all the deductions, and there may be other deductions even than this. But anyways, let's look at what we have here for Robert Thomas. So gross earnings we just calculated at 722.20, and we're going to subtract the deductions. As you can see here, the total deductions, there's a column for that where they sum up all the deductions for each employee. So we have 144.80. If they did not give you the total deductions column for that, you just want to add up all the deductions together, and you'll get 144.80. So if you add up this number, this number, this number, this number, this number, and this number, that will come up to 144.80. So we're going to take 722.20 minus 144.80, and we get 500 and sorry, I got it wrong. So that's 140.80. I don't know where I got 144.80, and so I subtract the right number, and I get 581.40. Okay, so again, gross earnings, we determine gross earnings based on the regular and overtime hours and the employee's rate. Now, keep in mind, you may be given, rather than 40 regular and 4 overtime, they may just tell you that the employee worked 44 hours during the week. You have to know that 40 hours is at the regular rate and 4 hours is at the overtime rate. So it might be a little bit more work to determine, and so you just have to subtract the 40 and know that there's 4 overtime. And so anyways, just a heads up. So let me know if you have any concerns about calculating gross earnings and net earnings. Okay, thank you.